Alright. So, probably, this is probably going to be the most important conversation, or was the most important conversation in the history of my YouTube channel, as well as the history of overall what I have been doing in the course of 8 years. So, as many of you know, I have a child, a beautiful baby boy named Xavier Jr., and let me put it to you like this. My son is, always will be, my pride and joy. The greatest thing that I could ever ask for in this life. And I've made some pretty fucked up mistakes. I've made some pretty decent mistakes in my life. And some pretty major ones at that. So, recently, I I hollered at the baby mother, you know what I'm saying? I hollered at her, I talked to her. Like, we had like we genuinely had like an actual conversation about this, and my son loves my content. He loves to watch his father play video games, stuff like that. Cause he like, as he gets older, he realizes like, okay, my cousin plays it, dad plays video games. How can I get into that? Like I'm actually training my son how to play Fortnite currently because he's at that point where he wants to, be more active in the video game community. And since we're talking about my kid here, I also, through my son's mother, have a 12-year-old nephew who also, much like my son, is also my pride and joy. You know what I'm saying? I got these two beautiful boys here. I love them to death. You know what I'm saying? I love them to death. And I personally will do anything and everything to make them happy. You know what I'm saying? And after I had this conversation with my son's mother, the question, as well as the assumption of what would happen if I did include my son on my channel. Now, to get to just like overall explain this to y'all, because it's a lot of you that do understand this and it's a lot of you that don't. I'm not a controversial person by choice, only if I have to be or want to. And when you realize that there are certain things that you can put out on a platform, you know, because a lot of people, you see nowadays people put stuff on social media platforms as well as YouTube, not for the entertainment, but not just for the entertainment, rather. It can be for, to shame someone else, to prioritize a certain amount, stuff like that. But what you don't see very often, at least from my perspective so far, I haven't seen any YouTubers really like put their kids on, YouTube alongside them. And me, like, I want to continue this as long as I can or as long as I'm able. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm basically like a second father to my nephew. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like my son. He was a son to me before I had a son. Put it like that. And he's getting older, he's getting bigger, he's getting smarter. There are things that I want my boys to see, in life. Because I also had the same conversation with his mother. And I told her, if obviously due to COVID-19, there's still a prime conduit of, virtual learning and all of that. And I don't want to want to interrupt his education. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to interrupt that. So, what I told him in front of his mother, that if you can continue your education under the whole COVID virtual learning concept and still come out with a good grade, I will most definitely include you in any game that I decide to play, because obviously right now, recent events like put me at a standstill with my finances. So, not gonna get into that too deep. But I actively don't have a system. The only thing I really have is mobile and fucking Nintendo Switch, which is something that my boys play frequently. And as I said, we spoke about joining, YouTube like a year ago before COVID. And my nephew had, he saw like way back, like years ago. Like this was around 2014 when they had the Pokemon International Championship out here in DC. So he saw the pictures on Facebook. He was like, "Oh, I want to play Pokemon like that one day." Blah blah blah. Now, don't get me wrong, nephew got some skills in the Pokemon. I can't even deny that. Like I told him I would see about it, but at the time he was still young. Because he was like 8 at the time, so or 7. I don't remember. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. But no. So really, it came to a mindset like, obviously you guys know I say really derogatory stuff on this channel. I'm not gonna lie, I do that. That's a very, very prominent thing with me. But it's also just a part of my personality, which, both my nephew and my son are very well aware of, as well as adapted to hearing on a very, very frequent basis. And while I do try to reel it in on occasion, it's like, for me personally, some people just require to see, or just required to see that side of you. And the various things that you guys seen me post on fucking YouTube, like, let's not be realistic here. I've said some shit, I've done some shit. It's not even a, like, I can't even in the slightest bit compare it. But what I will say is that these children mean the world to me. I would do anything for these boys. Real talk. I'd do anything for these boys. Even though the oldest is not my son, like, he is family, you know what I'm saying? And with COVID, he's not, he ain't really feeling too social these days. So, I'm trying to real life fix that. You know what I'm saying? I want my boys to be like, if this is what they choose to do, for example, like, okay, say for example, I bring my son on this jump, right? And he starts to get more adapted to being on YouTube, right? And he decides like, Dad, I want to be on YouTube. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Cause like I said, I'm not the type to be like, you can't do this or you can't do that. No, I ain't that type of dude. I ain't that type of father either. So, like I said, if I'll put it to you like this, my son and my nephew take after me very well. They take after me very extremely. There is a because so the thing about it is, my son, up until he was like maybe 3, he indeed think his cousin was his older brother. You know what I'm saying? Even though technically they are like brothers, considering they're raised in the same household. So it's like, when you think about it, you have to really, 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 like, see for yourself. Like, there is indeed a sibling rivalry between these two, because the youngest gets upset because the oldest can do something, and then the youngest will try to pick with the older one, and then the oldest will try to pick back. You know what I'm saying? So there is always a competitive genetic in them that, like I said, even though my nephew is not related to me physically, he is related to my son, and therefore shares, you know, a competitive spirit which comes from his mother, and my son has a competitive spirit that rivals mine. So it's like, you got two wolves basically trying to fight it out to see who gonna come out on top situation. But it's cool though. Like, it's cool. You know, I have been looking. I thought about. I talked with my son's mother about it. She said like she's cool with it, but at the time, like she feels like there are a lot of crazy people on the internet, stuff like that. And regardless how it may look, she is right to a degree. Don't get it twisted. She is most definitely right in a degree. But at the same given token, you got to understand, like, she wants to do what's best for our child. Cool. I support it. And the same goes for me. Like, I don't want to put my son in a compromising situation that he can't get loose from. That's just not cool. But as a father, like, I will take extreme precaution in anything that is said to him. Okay? And I want to make that very clear to you guys as my viewers and as my subscribers that once this process has began, if you don't see my son and I in the same video, keep any negative comment that you may or may not have to yourself. Okay? When it come to him, I'm the type to come at your throat. I will tell you that now. And I ain't that. I'm not cut like that. I ain't cut like some of these other name brand these Walmart brand ass fathers you see outside. Like, no, I'm a real father. You feel me? Like, my son will have respect, and there will be some respect put on my son, and there will be no disrespect in no form. Okay, there will be no form of there will be no form of disrespect. There will be no verbal comments. You know what I'm saying? There will be nothing short of respect should either my nephew or my child touch face on this channel. Because if there's one thing that I will make clear, and there are people who know me on this channel who have subscribed to this channel, let's make it clear. You fucking with mine, fucking with mine. Okay? And also, just to make this clear, because I promised my son's mother that I would do this, any video uploaded with my child or my nephew involved, there will be no swearing. There will be no use of drugs. Well, smoking, but no, not smoking weed. You know what I mean? But there will be an automatic level of respect, and there will be nothing further than that. Simple. So, as I said, put some respect on my kid, you get it back. Simple. Because like I said, I'm gonna put my son on YouTube before the end of the year. So we're a ways off from that for the time being. But at the same given token, I'm gonna continue to put my son on YouTube until he's about, I want to say 7. That's the limit. I'm gonna give him until he's 7. And by that point, my nephew will be like almost 15. So, well, yeah, 15. He'll be 15 exactly. So yeah, get that done, and like I said, we'll see about that. But like I said, don't expect too much now. I want to make that perfectly clear. The kid is 5, but that's the thing. He's 5, and as much as it pains me to realize this, the boy is very, very smart, and that's what I'm afraid of. Like, I'm afraid of what he may or may not come out his mouth with. Then again, this is a spawn of mine, and you guys yourselves have seen how up my mouth can be. So if my mouth can be up and can be up at any point, if you hear the same that comes out of my mouth, out of a 5-year-old's mouth, you're going to hear literally, it's going to be in all form, not a joke. So, like I said, just stick around for that, all right?